Morning. We are, I believe I'm keeping track of what I got going on here. We're on day 5 of our Owyhee Canyons adventure. We're camped, if you guys are following along, day 4. We're camped down along the Owyhee River right now, just outside of Birch Creek Ranch. We went and explored the ranch pretty heavily yesterday, and then kind of came down to this area, which is at the very far end of the ranch, and set up camp, which we're at the base of a field off one of the ranch buildings. And this morning when we woke up, we had some deer out in the field, and that was cool to see. There was a young buck out there showing some rutting activity. We are early November, so right in the time of the rut for the mule deer, so it was fun to poke around out there and get some shots of them. Yeah, I think we're gonna settle here for a little bit this morning. I think I'm gonna make a bigger breakfast for me and Donald this morning, and then we got a old mine site we're gonna drive into and explore today. The wind was relentless that morning, but it was very unseasonably warm. So I thought I'd take advantage of having the river nearby and utilize my onboard shower system. I went ahead and flipped the van around just so I could create some privacy between Donald's and my camp, and went ahead and started setting up the shower system. I keep a 5-gallon collapsible jug just for these types of occasions, but the problem is it is collapsible, so it doesn't fill up well by just dipping it into the water. That's where having the Jackery 300 really shines. I can take the Jackery and my DC water pump to wherever the water source is and be able to fill my jug completely full. Jackery is a sponsor of the channel, and if you are interested in a portable power solution for your outdoor adventures, definitely check out the link below. Setting up my shower system is pretty straightforward, and I already do have a complete video on this system for those that are interested. Alright, well, we got the shower done just in time. It's actually starting to rain, and it was actually just starting to sprinkle on me a little bit as I was finishing up out there. But yeah, I feel 100 times better. I tell you what, man, a shower can really reinvigorate you when you're a few days in on a trail. And like I said, being the fact that I live in the van all the time, I don't always get the opportunity for regular showers. So yeah, it feels good. My plan for breakfast was simple, and one that I've done on the channel a few times before. Eggs and polenta covered in a country gravy with fresh venison breakfast sausage from this last fall's archery season. Donald had a quick field repair to do before we got on our way. He had blown a fuse and it was affecting his ability to recharge his Jackery and use his comms. This is where it's always good to make sure you have plenty of spare fuses on hand and make sure you have the correct ones for your specific vehicle. With his fuel repair complete, we got on our way to the old Jasper mine that Donald had mapped out for us. The road going into the old mine site is fairly steep and rocky, but both vehicles handled it pretty easily. Alright folks, well we've gotten down to this old mine site and I'm really anxious to go check it out. It looks really cool. There's this old Bronco here. It's all rusted and bad shape, but really looks interesting to walk through. But I ran into a small problem when we were driving our way from Birch Ranch to here. My four-wheel drive shift lever came out and I might need four-wheel drive later to get out of here. So I don't think it's a big deal. I think it's just going to be a minor field repair. It looks like that's kind of the theme of the day, is minor field repairs. We had to do a little bit of field repair on Donald's rig, and now I'll have to do something on this. It looks like to me that this is a pressed part, that there was a piece pressed in here and it just came undone. Alright, so I came up with what I'm going to do for my quick field repair. I hammered this piece back onto the stud, but it's no longer going to hold. I hammered it in there, but I can jiggle it, I can get it to pop right off. So if I go to shift the van, most likely it would just pop right off again. So what I did is I took some tie wraps, which I had, and I wrapped them up and through and around. So now the tie wrap will hold it on there. It can't be pulled off. So not a great option. It should get me through the next couple of days until I get back to civilization, and then I'll take it over to Dirt Road Garage and we'll come up with a more permanent solution, maybe replace the whole unit. I don't know, but this should definitely get me through the day and then or the next couple of days. So put it back together and we should be good to go. With my field repair now complete, I began to explore around the area. Going into this trip, I really didn't have any information on the history of this mine, but with the old rig out in front and the shacks built into the rocky hillside, it really reminded me of a Disney theme park ride. I could almost imagine the animatronic miners waving at me as I stood out in front looking over the place. After the trip, I did do some research on it and was able to find a blog from Eugene Mueller, who had mined the area from 1986 to 1996. I put some links down in the description for those rockhounds that might be interested in learning more about this place. The old Scout had drawn my interest, and at first glance, I thought it was an old Bronco having very similar shape. But after better inspection, I did discover it was a 66 International Scout built originally in Fort Wayne, Indiana. It turns out Eugene had purchased the Scout in already pretty rough condition for the purpose of driving it up and down the steep hills from where he was digging back up to the mining shacks. I never saw him mention why he left the old Scout behind. I guess it needed more than just some minor field repair. From what I could make out from Eugene's blog, he didn't build these 2 mining shacks. There were a few different mining claims on the site, the first being claimed back in 1964, and several folks had mined these claims over the years. The shacks themselves reside on what is known as the Lacey claim, which was originally made by a fellow with the last name of Caress. I couldn't tell you whether or not he is the one that built these old shacks, but if he was, I really hope he was a better miner than he was a carpenter. Both shacks were pretty roughly built. The first shack I looked at, the roof was caved in, so I just gave it a quick peek inside and moved on to the other. Again, from what I could make out from the blog posts, they didn't use these shacks year-round. They used them only when they would come out to mine the Morrisonite Jasper that was apparently fairly rare to these specific hills. I'm not an avid rock hunter myself, and a lot of the details he talks about in his blog go over my head. But if this is something that interests you, I highly recommend checking out the links I posted in the description. He tells quite a few stories on his time here, and I especially enjoyed the post on December 2011 called Moving into the Cabin.